friends, it's Emma from Emma Plans and Reads, and today we are back with my second ever monthly wrap-up reading video. So today is for the month of February. I had a fabulous reading month in February right up until the last two books that I read, but I'm not going to let that get me down. I still overall had a fantastic month. I read some really great books and I'm really excited to talk about them. So overall, we're going to say I had a good month and just forget the last two, but we'll go over that. So in terms of stats for the month of February, I have my stats up here. I use Storygraph pretty much exclusively just for stats. I track everything else in Goodreads, but I find Storygraph is quite helpful for stats. So I finished 8 books in February, which was 3,342 pages. So although I read less books than last month, I actually read more pages. So it kind of shows they're a little bit longer. And I still feel like 8 is good for me. Again, I read 6 books in the whole of 2024. So to read more than that in a month, I'm really happy with. So I read 8 books. 75% of them were between 300 and 499 pages, which is pretty much the same split. Like most books I read are that length as last month. One book I read, so 13% was less than 300 and one book was more than 300. Again, a very similar split. Everything was fiction. I don't read non-fiction, so I don't know if that'll ever change. And then in terms of my genres, I do genres a little bit differently, but I mostly read, well, I only read romantasy, romance, and actually read a few historical fictions, I'm going to call them, although I don't 100% know that that's actually what they are, but to me, when I do my graph in my reading journal, they are historical. So that was my most, I guess, and I read, as usual, all of them on my Kindle. So those are the overall stats, and we'll go through. I got my Goodreads here. I actually have most of the books in person as well, which is exciting. I almost dropped my phone. So I'll go through those one by one in terms of the order that I read them in. So the first book that I finished for February is called What the River Knows, and this is by Isabel. I feel like her surname is pronounced Ibanez, but I'm not 100% sure. Oops. And I have some sort of special edition. I actually have no idea where this is from. Does it say? No. I saw it online and I decided that I need to have it, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's got sprayed edges. It is foil hardcover. If you know me, you know I do not read hardcovers. I hate them. So this is purely going to be on my bookshelf, but I absolutely love it. My cat just jumped up to the bookshelf, so that's fun. I also got the next book as well, which you'll see in a minute. So I am obsessed with this. This is like my new favorite prized possession. Anyway, more about the book, less about the actual physical copy that I got. So I rated this book 5 stars. And it is a duology, and I rated the second book 4 stars, which we'll go over in a minute, but overall it is a 5-star. Can you call a duology a series? I don't know. If you can, 5-star series. It was completely unexpected for me. I have never read anything like it. It is set in the 1880s, I think, in Egypt, and it's about a young girl who lives in Argentina, and her parents spend 6 months of every year in Egypt, and she gets the unfortunate news that something's happened to them, and so she decides to travel to Egypt on her own to figure it out. But obviously in that time, females were not able to do a whole lot on their own, so it's quite empowering. She does a lot by herself without the help of males or anything like that. And she ends up unraveling the secret of what happened to her parents, and I just loved the setting. I loved like it's set in Egypt during the British occupation, I guess, and just obviously it's fiction, but a lot of the fiction, is that the right one? Non-fiction. fiction. It's fiction, which means it's not real. Yes, a lot of the stuff that happens did really happen, like the illegal trade and the raiding of graves and tombs and that sort of thing. So I found it really interesting. And then a little touch of magic as well. It didn't feel overly fantasy. It was just like a little bit of magic, which helped kind of add to the story. It is YA and it is very YA, but I actually really enjoyed that. I feel like sometimes YA helps it from being a little too serious. And for me, I like reading because I like to get away from like serious stuff. Thank you so much for doing that. I like to get away from serious stuff in life, and so sometimes YA kind of helps provide that like cushioning, I don't know, I guess. I read the reviews and it doesn't review very well, which surprises me because, I don't know, I loved it. It's got a little bit of romance, it's got history, it's got, yeah, like empowerment. Like I feel like the main character was quite strong in a time where it wasn't really encouraged, and overall I loved it. I rated the first one 5 stars. And that was called What the River Knows, as I said. Then I have the second book in that same series. So I was so obsessed with the first one that I just went straight into the second one. And that is called Where the Library Hides. And this special edition looks exactly the same as the other one, with the same sprayed edges and like the foiled cover. But this one says it's from Owlcrate. So I don't know if that one is too, but it just isn't labelled that. I don't really know. I bought this one new off the Owlcrate website, whereas I had to buy the other one secondhand because the new ones were sold out. So I'm not sure. I don't collect special edition books. I don't really know how the whole like subscription and all that works. I just like books that I enjoy, and that's why I picked this up. So this is by the same author. I rated this one 4 stars. So this straight away follows the story of the first one. But I feel like it got a little lost in trying to just be like shock value. Like it was constantly like shocks and twists and turns and like surprises, and I just feel like it got a little lost and a little too many. Like a couple of twists and turns are great, but when it just like keeps happening, you kind of just be like, okay, this is getting a little ridiculous. So I still liked it. I love the characters, I love the story. It just felt like a little more there for shock value, and also it lost a little bit of the magic of like the ancient Egypt history, and then like the crossover, like not crossover, but the back and forth between the 1880s, and I don't know, it lost a little bit of the magic of the first book. It just didn't quite do it for me as much as the first one, but I did rate it 4 stars. I did still really enjoy it, and as I said, it's a 5-star series. I loved both of the books. It just lost me a little bit in the shock value factor, but again, it is quite YA. There is, I say, romance in this book, but the male main character didn't really act in any way, shape or form like the romantic lead should, but I guess you could call it romance. So anyway, loved this book as well. I think it went a little bit too far to be a 5-star read. Then I changed gears completely and I read Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. So in my previous January video, I read, well, not in my video, but I spoke about reading Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and then I really wanted to go and read some of her other books and see if she was an author that I liked, or if it was just because I liked Bride. And then this one came out. I didn't even realize. I was at the shops and it was in like the new release section, and I thought, why not give it a go, and then I can go back and read other ones if I want to. I rated this one 4 stars. This was exactly what it needed to be, as in like a quick, fun, light romance that just like hit all the right places and didn't take itself too seriously, in my opinion. I just thought it was perfect. I also, fun fact, used to, well, I grew up as a gymnast for a lot, like 10 years of my life plus, and in that time I also did a bit of diving, like competitive diving, because there is a lot of overlap between the two sports. So I found this really interesting to kind of come back to the diving world, and like all of the dives she was talking about, like I understood what they were because I used to be a diver, and so I kind of felt like it was a cool mix. Whereas like if it was set more as like she was the swimmer, for example, I don't know that I would have enjoyed it as much, because that's not something that really applies to me. But I really enjoyed it. As I said, romance. It was a quick read. I needed something after the, like, not, I guess the second book was a bit more serious. But I just needed like a bit of a palate cleanser, and this was exactly what I wanted. It hit the mark for me. If you want something short, sharp, well, I don't know if it's that short, but like short, sharp as in not too committal. Like it's a standalone, it's a college romance. I just feel like this is a great book to pick up when you just need something, yeah, not so serious. But as I mentioned, it's a college romance. It's the female main character is a diver and the male main character is a swimmer, and so it kind of revolves around the swimming pool in a college, and it is just like a romance. I don't really know how else to describe it. It was fun. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. Next up, I read my book club book for February, which, if you remember my January book club book, I really hated that book. It was my least favorite book of the whole month, so I was a bit nervous going in. I originally was going to read it after Where the Library Hides, and I kind of talked myself out of it, and that's why I ended up picking up Deep End instead. But I read, what's it called, Psyche or Psych? I think it's Psyche. I thought it was Psych, but then I feel like I've seen people say Psyche. And Eros. You can see the cover here or here, so you know what I'm talking about. And it is by, sorry, I'm reading my phone, Luna McNamara. And the reason that that book was chosen was because the theme or the prompt was Greek mythology retellings. And this is a book and a genre that I never in a million years would have picked up and read. And that's exactly why I joined this book club, because I wanted to expand my horizons, and expand them I did. So I actually gave this book 4 stars, and reading the comments from the other people in the book club, nobody really liked it, and I really did. So I feel like, is it because I'm not very cultured and I've never read a Greek mythology retelling that this was like fun and different, and people that have read it maybe are like, okay, this one's not very good. I did read a lot that the author took a lot of creative liberties with the myth, and it kind of deviated a lot from the original, but I have never ever read Greek mythology or been interested in it, so that didn't really bother me. For me, it was like a totally new story. It just had some names that I recognized of Greek gods, but I don't really know who they are or what they represent or anything like that. So it was like a totally new story for me. And I really enjoyed it. It is about Psyche, who is the female main character. She's a human, and Eros is a god, and they kind of come together due to a curse, and then they end up, I want to say falling in love, but there's really no, like, there's no falling. It's just like one day the curse happens and then the next day they're in love, and it's a bit weird. But it's about their story and how she wants to fulfill her prophecy of being a warrior, but then in the end she ends up just like, well, I don't want to spoil it, I guess. The prophecy kind of just goes out the window, and it sounds like I didn't enjoy this book, but I actually really did. I found it a really light, fun, I don't know, I didn't take it seriously. If there was a sequel, I probably wouldn't read it, which there isn't, but if there was, I don't know. I don't know why it's a 4-star book for me, because I'm struggling to explain it, but it is a 4-star book. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was something different, and it was a really quick read. I actually got through it pretty quick, which is great because my last book club book took me a long time to read. So I really enjoyed it. Then we have another book that I don't have the physical copy of because I am really wanting to get one of the special editions of it. I just don't know how to get it or where to get it from yet, but I really want to get it. And it is Nocticadia by Kerry Lake, I think. Yeah, Kerry Lake. And this book was recommended to me by a friend months ago, and I kind of put it on my radar but like didn't really think about it until one of the people I follow on YouTube read it, and I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. And then I told my friend, and she's like, yeah, I recommended it to you. But anyway, it was 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It was so up my alley. I've never really read anything like it, but at the same time, it was so up my alley and exactly everything that I enjoy. It is about the female main character is, she's just like shit out of luck, essentially. Mum's just died. Her mum's boyfriend is just a loser and she's shit out of luck, and she somehow gets this invite to a prestigious university, and she takes it, and she's on a full ride and a scholarship, and then it is a professor-student romance, which some people, for them, that there's a line that's not okay, but for me, I ate it up. I absolutely loved it. It was so like this. It was so, what do they call it? Like slow burn, like lusty and dramatic, and I loved every second of it. And then I also loved the side story about the actual plot, and how she was investigating what was the cause of her mother's illness and how it all tied together. The only thing that I didn't love, and maybe it's a 4.75 star, but it's not, because I can't stop thinking about it. It's not, it's 5 stars. But the only thing I didn't love is the ending. It was a little I think the book's 600-700 pages, so 500 pages of a build up and then 100 pages of the end, and so much happened. It was just wait, what, who's that, what's going on, who's that? I just feel like the ending could have been either a few things taken out or spread out a little bit, and it would have been perfect. It just felt a little yeah, oh geez, there's so much going on. And then people love the epilogue as well, but I don't know, it didn't really hit for me. I kind of read it and was oh, really, of course. It just kind of felt a bit flat, but people love it. But I don't know. It was a 5-star read. I know I don't sound like it's a 5-star read. I cannot stop thinking about this book. I want a sequel. I want to know more. I want so much more from this book. Obviously that's only a standalone, but it's definitely a 5-star because I have not stopped thinking about it since I finished it. Then we went straight into another 5-star read. So I went back to back 5 stars, which is super exciting. And this is called The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I picked this book up randomly from the shop when I was there because the cover kind of drew my attention. And then I made a post saying, I just want a short and sweet book recommendation. What have you got for me? And Emma from Emma Plans, who's not me, Emma Plans on Instagram, recommended this. And I was oh, I have this. I'm pretty sure I have this book. And anyway, I did. And so I decided to read it. And it is 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. I feel like everyone's read this book by now, but if you haven't, it is about a author. No, she's not an author. She's a journalist who is trying to make it big, and then this ex-movie star, Evelyn Hugo, picks her to write her tell-all life story, and the main character Monique is well, why did you pick me? What, I'm a nobody. And anyway, in the end it makes sense, and I didn't see the twist coming, so that's always good. But for me, it wasn't about Monique or the twist or anything. It was all about Evelyn Hugo's story. This was just so interesting and inspiring, and there's LGBTQ themes as well, which I didn't know that at all. I knew nothing about this book, so I just felt it's not a book type I normally read. I think it's just a fiction, and I don't read that. I read romance or romantasy, and so there's no romance in this book, and it was something totally different for me. I absolutely loved it. I feel like it would be such an amazing movie. I feel like I could picture it so vividly in my head when I was reading it, and it would just be the perfect movie or TV show. Maybe it'll be picked up one day. I just feel yeah, you follow essentially Evelyn Hugo's life story as she's telling it to the main character so that she can write her tell-all book. And it goes from where she started to her movie star success and her obviously 7 husbands and who they are and what they mean and how she uses some of them and how she does it. I don't know. It was just fabulous. If you haven't read it, please, 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 please. Even if it's not your normal thing, I promise it is amazing. So we are coming off a huge high. I've just read 2 5-star books back to back. I've already read another 5-star in the month. I think my average at this point was 4.7 stars, which is amazing. And then unfortunately the crash begins. So the last 2 books that I read are both in the Caraval series from Stephanie Garber, and I think I read Legendary. Yeah, I read Legendary in January, and I said that it really brought the series back for me. I really didn't love Caraval, really liked Legendary, and then I was excited to read more. And I just thought, you know what, I've got a couple of days left in the month, and I just want to get this series finished, and I just want to know what happens. And unfortunately, we kind of went backwards again. So I rated this book, what I rate it? 3.5 stars. So it wasn't terrible, but I also didn't love it. It isn't set in Caraval, first of all. And I don't really know how to describe the book, because when I think about it, nothing happened. Like, I don't know. The plot was just not like, I don't know. I feel like the mother of the two sisters was going to be such a bigger part of this book, because we built up for it for the whole last book, and I really enjoyed her character. And then she wasn't a part of it after like 5 chapters. So it was like, okay, now what's going to happen? And then it became about this other character who wasn't in it at all in the other two, and I just didn't like his character at all. I feel like he was trying to be this villain, which he was a villain, but I didn't care about him. Like, he wasn't, I don't know how to describe it. It just did not do anything for me. And then there was like the reveal around like parentage, and it was just like, oh, seriously? Like, that's just not, like, could we not have thought of something else? I don't know how to describe it. Like, it just wasn't. And then she's just like pining after this guy who just does not want her, but like does want her, but doesn't show any interest in her. I don't know. I rated it 3.5 stars, which is still like not bad. It means I liked the book. I don't know. Maybe I need to drop it to 3, because I didn't love it. It was fine. It was okay. I'm glad it's finished. I'm glad I know what happened. I do really like Scarlet and Julian. I do not like Donatella and Legend. I do not think they go together at all. But anyway, maybe I rated it 3.5, but maybe it's a 3. We'll see. And then the final book that I read is Spectacular in the same series, and this is where we really flushed down the toilet. So I rated this 2.5 stars, and I feel like that's generous. I really did not like this. It's only a novella. It took me an hour to read. However, it's even worse than Finale. Like, and not just because it's a novella where you can't fully develop a story. The story was dreadful. I don't know how to describe it again. Donatella is pining after Legend, who just does not show any interest in her until like the last page. And then you're like, oh, cool. Okay, so it was all like a big game. But like, that's not romantic or fun or... And then there's like a part with very questionable consent in it, which like, I normally don't have too many barriers to what I will and won't read, but I feel like for people who do, it's not great. It wasn't sweet, it wasn't romantic, it was really a bit icky. And yeah, so that's all I got to say. I really didn't love this. 2.5 stars. I'm glad to be done with this series, but a bit disappointed. I really loved Legendary, and the other books, I guess, weren't just weren't for me, and that's okay. Glad I finished it. And that is everything, I think. Yes, for the month of February. So a bit shorter this month. I feel like I wasn't rambling on about Onyx Storm for 10 minutes. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.